The emotion of fear can be a protective mechanism. It keeps us safe. It keeps us alive in some regards. And in other regards, it can be quite a limiting part of our life where the fear becomes too much and it is here to stay. But fear, like all emotions, are just visitations. They come and they go. So let's allow some emotions to go with the flow. So taking full responsibility for your own well-being and repeating after me. Let's go with that flow and let's begin to tap. Even though fear has come to stay, fear is residing within the home of my body. And there is an event that is either coming up or that has already occurred. And fear is setting up shop within the home of my body. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Even though fear is just a visitor, but its visitation rights seem to have been saying that I'm here to stay. And I feel I have no control over this, for this fear is overwhelming all rooms of my body. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself. Even though within the home of my body, I have an unwelcome visitor known as this fear, and it is overwhelming me. And when I look out at life, I may be looking out with fearful eyes. And I'm open to loving and accepting myself. All of this fear that resides within my mind, all of this fear that resides within my body and my mind, this home that I want to call safe. But within this home, I have a visitor, and this visitor is overwhelming me. I'm overwhelmed by fear. There is something that has happened, or something that is about to happen, that those fear levels are rising. And it's rising with every room within my body. And I might be starting to shut down, starting to board up the windows, starting to lock the doors, starting to seclude myself within the mind of my body and within the body of my mind. And this fear is creating some fearful situations. And I might be within the living room, but I'm not really living life. Because outside those walls, or perhaps even within the walls, I'm perceiving all of this fear, all of these worst case scenarios, all of these different situations running rampant throughout the rooms of my mind, knocking things over, creating a disarray and a disharmony within my mind and my body. And the more that I fear fear, the more fearful it becomes, like a monster stomping around, trying to find me. And I'm finding many different ways to avoid this fear. Because the more that I fear this fear, the more that I don't have to feel this fear, this emotion of fear. And fear is just an emotion. Now, I've had many different emotions. And I've had happiness, I've had sadness, but none have persisted. None have seemed to have gotten stuck within the mind of my body and the body of my mind. Perhaps fear is a visitor that doesn't know its way out. Because I've boarded up these windows and I've locked these doors. And this fear isn't in here with me. I'm in here with this fear. And perhaps I want to resolve this fear. So instead of peering out through the cracks of the windows and seeing other people live life, perhaps I don't want to limit myself by being confined by fear. This situation, or the situation to be, it's either happened or about to happen. And the more that I perceive the worst case scenario, the more that I start to live within the worst case scenario, and the less living room that I have, the less room to breathe, and my muscles become tense, which makes it really hard to think, to gain this emotional freedom. Perhaps I want some emotional freedom now, to change my perspective on what I need to do, rather than what I am currently doing, which is fearing the worst. And perhaps the worst will happen, because I'm preparing for the worst, rather than preparing for what I can do. Breaking it down into steps, putting things in their place, and knowing that I am capable of much more than going into a fear loop where I fear the fear and get a fearful outcome. Perhaps I can perceive a different outcome by knowing that I have the confidence within myself. I have the empowerment to see things differently, because I've had many different emotions before, and I've been able to move past that. And I'm going to be moving past this fear now, so I can see myself clearly, and I can see different outcomes clearly, rather than the worst case scenario. This fear is just a visitor. It's become stuck, but it is a part of me, and it wants to keep me safe. And in many different ways, me perceiving the worst case scenario is me perceiving many different ways to keep myself safe. It is the worst case scenario, rather than scenarios where I just take things step at a time. I don't have to climb Mount Everest in one step, nor do I have to clean every single room within 1 minute. I'm breaking it down into tasks, and knowing that I am possible. I'm allowing a little bit of fear out. I'm venting this fear. I'm opening up the windows. I'm unlocking some doors. I'm thanking this fear for signaling that something is dangerous, but I don't want to live in danger. I want to be safe within my body and safe within my mind by letting go of some things that feel unsafe towards me. I am the master of my own ship. I'm the master of my own domain. I'll not let fear override my sensibility or my sense of self. I'm allowing this fear to flow. I'm allowing it to go. And like all things that are loving, fear will return to keep myself safe, to let me know when I'm in danger. And then it can go. Just like all my other emotions that come and go with the flow. I'm allowing this fear to go. I'm allowing myself to know that I am the opposite of the things that the fear is telling me. I am confident. I am not a failure. Failure doesn't define me. It allows me to grow. I shouldn't feel shame, and I shouldn't feel blame by things that are already confirming these fearful outcomes. I'm a positive and loving person, and I'm loving of myself, in my home of my body, and of my body of my mind. Now I'm giving myself some compassion to knowing that this fear was a visitor, but it's time to go. It's time to go, fear. I'm allowing this fear to go from all parts of my body and my mind. I'm allowing this anger to flow from my body and my mind. I'm allowing this shame and this guilt and the sense of perfectionism. I'm getting it right by getting myself right, by allowing this fear to flow. Allowing it to go out the windows, out the doors, giving myself more living room in this home of my body, in this body of my mind. And the more space that I give myself, the more opportunities to grow upon and to see things and to go out in life and join those people and be one of those people. Living life in mind, body, and spirit. And taking a full breath in and out. So yes, fear can be like that fly that gets stuck in your house and you might be showing at the door, but it's bouncing against the window sort of thing. So it probably wants its freedom. It's just allowing it its freedom. And the more that we hold on to something, the more that it'll just cycle. So by allowing it to go, we reduce the intensity of the fear, but we always want to have that sense of fear in us because it is that thing that keeps us safe. That old saying of, well, if everyone jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? And depending on the level of the bridge, but also our sense of like, well, this is going to be a dangerous thing if I do jump off this bridge, that fear keeps us safe. But sometimes that fear can keep us in a state of unsafeness if it doesn't if it doesn't flow away from us. So reducing the intensity. So I'm Leon from Eflowtion Support Services, and I offer EFT Tapping one-on-one online. So check out eflowtionsupportservices.com. In the meantime, check out the other videos to help you go with the flow, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.